Good afternoon, good evening everyone. Getting started on the first day here of the beginner at-home workout program that I've devised. Hoping you're ready to work out. So just before I start, you'll probably hear it here in the background. I do live in an apartment. There's a maintenance person doing repairs to some apartment nearby. So you might hear some hammering and stuff like that in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just part of living in an apartment. But it is what it is. We're going to do the workout anyway. Hopefully it's not too disturbing to the video. I'll try to cut it out if possible. But yeah, so first day is going to be a push day, which means, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Push day meaning that we're going to be doing chest, shoulders, and triceps. And the reason that we kind of do those is because the muscles all work together. Most exercises that you're going to do, there are a couple of isolation things you might do here and there, but most things that you're going to do are going to work out all three of those muscles. So it's best to train them together. Really focusing on chest and the shoulders mostly. We're only going to have one movement that directly focuses on the triceps. If you want to add more of those on, that's totally cool. We can do some modifications and stuff, and I'll have a video coming out later this week for stuff that you can add on if you want that to be more of your focus. But we'll just start getting into it in just a sec. Just make sure that you stretch. I already stretched before the video came on. I'll have some links. Again, I put them on my last video. I'll have a couple links to some mobility stuff that you can do to warm up before we begin. And additionally, just make sure you have some water. Yeah, it's really important to stay hydrated, especially when you're lifting weight. 6 movements today, and then 7, I guess technically 7. 6 movements for the push workout, and then the calf raises that we're going to be doing every day at the very end. I'm only going to have the calf raises on the video today because they're calf raises, they're pretty simple. But I'll mention them throughout the videos. So those will be at the very end. We'll do those last. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting to say. I kept it pretty simple. I'm going to be medium to high rep ranges for everything. I kept it at, I think for today's workout, I kept it at 3 sets for everything. And aside from a couple of the main lifts, like the bench press that we're going to do, you're going to get a 90-second rest on those between sets. And then the other ones we're just going to do a 60-second rest. So obviously I'm going to be using the weight that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a little less weight than I probably normally would, just because I'm doing it for this video, and I don't want to burn myself out if I have to reshoot my first lift like 20 times or anything like that. So I'll be keeping it really light, just to show you the form and everything. It's a good idea for you to start light as well, just again to get used to that form and to get used to the movements and stuff. We're really focusing on taking it slow, getting as much blood flow into the muscles that we're working at as we can to get the pump. That's how you grow your muscles. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. Focus on that mind-muscle connection, as they call it. So I'm not going to show every set of every exercise. There's no need to do that in the video. I'll do that on my own. But I'll show the main way to do it, and then for the couple of things that might be difficult, like for the bench press, for instance, if you don't have a bench, there's going to be a few different things that you can do. I'll go through that after I do the bench. And we're going to get started with the flat bench dumbbell press. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so we're just going to get into the movement here in a sec. There's a couple things that I didn't really go over in the intro that I'll go over now. This is going to apply as a general rule to all of the lifts that you're going to be doing coming up. So everything that we're going to do has a range. So for this one, for instance, it's 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. That basically just means you should be able to do the 10 sets without too much trouble. The 10 reps, sorry, without too much trouble. But those last couple of reps should be difficult. So we're going to use that with our progressive overload. As time goes on, getting to the 12 reps is going to become easier. When you're able to get to the 12 reps without much of a challenge like you were with the 10, then we're going to move up to the next weight. And then when you move up 5 pounds, let's say, you're going to be able to get to the 10 reps easily, and the 12 reps are going to be the challenge. So that's kind of how you're going to gauge it and how you're going to grow, just bit by bit, incremental growth. You don't have to go up a weight every single week. Like I said last week, we can also, as time goes by, or if you're limited on equipment, you can also reduce your rest time between sets. You can just do higher reps. So if 10 to 12 is too easy, you can do 12 to 15, but try to keep it at the rep ranges I'm saying, just because. But yeah, let's get into it. So I've got the camera set a little bit lower now. Hopefully you guys can see the movements pretty well. Obviously it's going to be a side view. You're not going to be able to see me head on or anything like that. But a couple things that are important to note with the dumbbell press, or with a barbell press if you're doing this in the gym later on. There are a couple of form things that people tend to do. You don't just lie flat on the bench. What you want to do is you really want to have your, I don't know if you can see this very well, have your shoulders back, and you're actively trying to squeeze your shoulder blades together. Bringing the weight down as low as you can to your chest. You can obviously bring it down a little bit lower with dumbbells because you don't have the bar going across. Keep that tension, keep your shoulder blades squeezed together, and you're also going to arch your lower back. So ideally your lower back won't be touching the bench, your butt will be touching the bench, and your upper back will be touching the bench. If you're heavier, like me, I have some fat, so my back might still be touching it gently, but my back is still arched. My spine and my muscles and everything are arched. I just have fat that's going to hang down, so there's nothing you can really do about that. So let's get into it. I'm going to lean back, like I said, squeezing my shoulder blades together, arching that back. We're going to push up, squeezing the dumbbells together. The dumbbells don't have to touch, but they should come together. You should feel that squeezing in your chest. When you roll your shoulders back, it's going to isolate the chest muscles more. So we're going to get a nice pump in there. Do them nice and slow, like I say. When you get to higher weights, you'll need to be a little bit more explosive on the uptake. That's totally fine, but you should be in control of the weight coming back down. Doing the bench press as well is going to be hitting your front delts. I'll show you those when I've done the set. And it's also going to be hitting your triceps. It's 10, 11, 12. All right, so the flat bench is going to hit our chest in a pretty general way. Like I said, your front deltoids are going to get used here as well. There's 3 heads to your deltoids. So you have the front delt, side delt, and the rear delt. Front delt gets used a lot. People do isolation moves like front raises to work on them. You don't really need to. Pretty much any chest exercise is going to incorporate your, and shoulder exercise, is going to incorporate your front delts into the movement. We will do some stuff for the side ones because we'll do some lateral raises later on. Those are a little bit harder to hit. And then the back delts, rear delts, are actually more of a pulling thing. You're going to hit those with rows and stuff like that, so we're not really going to be focusing on them today. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you're able to see those okay. A couple modifications you can do. If you have the bench but you don't have the dumbbells, you can easily just have your resistance band go under the bench, and you can press the resistance band. That's fine. But if you don't have a bench at all, you can do a floor press. So you'll follow the same basic, I'm not going to show you them. You'll follow the same form and all the tips that I said from before. The big disadvantage of doing a floor press, I shouldn't say it's a disadvantage, it's just something different. The floor press is going to not use your chest as much because your arms are going to hit the ground. So you won't be able to get that full range of motion. It's still a good move. It's going to hit your shoulders and your triceps a lot more than your chest. That's the only difference, but you can totally do that if that's the case. You can do that with a band also. So basically you're just going to have the band go across the back, come out of your armpits, and you can press it up in all of your sets. And then the last thing, if you don't have anything at all, good old-fashioned push-up. Push-ups, you can scale those as well. If you can do a proper push-up, that's great. If you can't, you can do the push-up from your knees. That's going to work out the same muscles as the bench. So let's move on to our next movement, which is going to be dumbbell flies. So I'll be starting the dumbbell flies here in just a sec. How these ones are going to work, basically, if you pretend that I'm lying down, we're going to hold the weights up in the starting position, and you're going to bring them down to your sides. Feel that chest stretch across, and then squeeze together on the way back up. You can obviously do this with bands as well. It's no problem to do it with the bands. If you can't do the flat bench, and you do have bands, you can attach them to something. So say I have it attached to the wall over here, I have the band, I can just do one-armed, letting it stretch and pull back, and pulling it in together. So that's an option for those. The most important thing I would say keep similar posture to what we did with the bench press. Making sure to have our backs arched, shoulder blades tucked in. The thing that I see people do the most in the gym that's kind of wrong, I'm going to go sideways for this so you guys can see a little bit better. If you have your arms, shouldn't have them completely straight and locked out. You should have them bent just a little bit, but they should keep this bent for the whole movement. So when you bring it down to the side, they should stay. And when they come back up, they should stay. What I see a lot of people do is they come down and they bend their arms and then they straighten their arms when they come out. Doesn't really achieve, you're still getting a workout, but you're turning that more into a little bit of a press. So make sure that you are keeping your arms straight. Okay, so I'm going to turn around here, pick up my weights, and we'll get this done. This one is 10 to 12 reps. So let's just go for 12 to 15 reps. So I have my shoulders tucked in, bringing the arm down. That's 1, 2. I'm just turning to check my camera to make sure that I'm good and you guys can see what I'm doing. Make sure that you're squeezing your pectorals together when you get to the top of the movement. You can make the barbells or the dumbbells touch if you would like to. It's not necessary. But like I said, we're just making sure that we're keeping our arms in a pretty locked position the whole way through the movement. 8. And that's it. So move the camera back a little bit because you guys are going to need to see me a little bit more this time. You're not going to see the top of my hands at the movement, but so moving on into our next movement that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing the Arnold Press, which is a variation on shoulder press. Pretty similar, just has a little bit of a different resting position. I'm sitting on my bench. You don't need a bench for this one. You can just do it sitting on any surface. You can also just do it standing up. It's just really important, kind of keep your back arched. Pretty much for every exercise you're going to be doing, you're not going to want to be slunched over. You're always going to want to have good posture. Chest out, back arched, like I said, standing or sitting. And when we get to the top of the movement, don't lock out your arms. That's a really important thing. So let's get started. So our resting position here is going to be us holding the weights like this. In a normal shoulder press, you would just be holding like this. So this would be the variation if you just want to do those. For these, we're going to start with our palms facing towards us. And then when we get to the top, we're going to twist, and we're going to have our palms facing forward. So let's do lowering it back down, staying in control of the weight the whole time. We're going for 10 to 12 reps. So your arms should be going pretty straight, but not like that's locking out. You don't want to be locking out. You can damage your elbows really easily. Probably shouldn't have done that, but whatever. Showing you guys one thing not to do. That's 8, 9, 10. All right. So that's it. Like I said, you can do those with bands easily as well. You can either have the bands hooked onto whatever you're sitting on, or if you're standing, you can just stand on top of the bands, have them at your sides, and bring them up. Perfect. So the next movement that we're going to be doing is the incline dumbbell bench. Very similar to the first, but instead of being on a flat bench, we're going to be on an incline. If you do have a bench, try to incline it about 45 degrees or so. I'm going to be using dumbbells for this. You can use bands as well if you have bands. And I will show you a variation after, because it is pretty different, but I'll show you a variation after that doesn't need a bench that we can just use bands for. So I'm going to just pause the video for 1 sec, skip ahead. Sorry, there's a garbage truck outside. I'm going to readjust my bench, and I'll be back in position. So I moved my bench a little bit just to give you guys like a 45-degree angle here. So you can see me a little bit more from the front on. I'm limited in what I can do because I'm working out from my bedroom, so I don't have a ton of space, but we'll make do with what we have. So like I said, this is going to be pretty similar to the regular the flat bench, where we're going to keep our shoulders together, try to keep our back arched. We're just going to be in a bit of a more of a seated position. I'm sorry, I said it was a garbage truck. I think it might be a snowplow or something outside. Keeps kind of coming back. Hopefully the noise isn't too loud, but shouldn't matter too much when we're just doing our sets. So we're gonna lay back. You can see I'm inclined. Keep your legs spread a bit, back arched. We're just gonna push up, just like we did with the flat bench. So this exercise is prescribed for 10 to 12 reps. So that's 5, 6. Always squeezing your chest together when you get to the top of the movement. There's that truck again. It's 9, 10. All right, so moving on. Getting nice and sweaty. You guys can see my little sweat marks there. It's good stuff. I'm going to show you the variation on this one for the incline press that we're going to use for our resistance bands. So this one we're actually going to do standing. I know you can't see my feet, but basically you're going to stand one foot in front of the other. I guess whatever, it doesn't matter which foot is forward, which foot's backwards. But you're going to stand on the band with one of your feet, and that's going to be your back foot. So step on it in front of you, step forward, pull the bands up like this, push forward and out. Pretty simple. Same type of movement. The bands are going to be pulling your arms back down because that's what resistance bands do. But just make sure that your foot is firmly on top of it so it doesn't snap up and hit you. Still try to squeeze your chest together when you get to the top of the movement, bringing your hands in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Nice and easy. Moving on from there, you're going to take a little bit of a rest, but that wasn't too bad for me, so I'm just going to move on to the next movement that we have here. We're going to be doing side dumbbell or banded lateral raises. So like I said, these are going to be working your side delts right here, so the middle of the 3. Really simple exercise. People still do them wrong. Try to keep your body as still as possible. A lot of people will bounce up and down when they're doing the reps to try to get extra ones out. I like to keep the weight at my side. Some people prefer to bring it forward, but I feel better, a little bit better doing this. You're going to want to use a bit of a lighter weight for these. They don't seem difficult, but they actually are pretty hard. So for me, I'm just going to be using a 10-pound weight plate because I don't have a 10-pound dumbbell. So you can, if you have a weight plate, you can just hold it like that. Works as is. I guess I should probably grab 2 since I have 2 arms. All right, so holding them at our sides. Similar principle. You never really want to lock your muscles out, so don't have your arms be completely straight. Have them be a little bit bent, not too bent. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're just going to be raising these up to your side, to the sides, a little bit past parallel, and lowering them back down. That's it. The way that I've been helped to do this, because I struggled with these when I was a beginner, is to imagine that you're pouring a jug of water. That should basically be the motion and the rotation that you're putting in at the top. You should feel quite a burn with these as well. Make sure you're not pulling forward like that. Make sure you're pulling directly up to your sides because that's how you're going to be hitting that middle head of your deltoids. 8. And that's it. I don't really ever know what this was. Maybe there's somebody out there that can tell me. When I started doing these at the top of the movement, I would feel this I don't want to say pain, but this almost sharp, kind of tearing feel in between my shoulder blades. And it never felt very good. It didn't hurt or anything like that, but it always spooked me out. So when I started doing these and trying to be more serious with them, I found if I did them one arm at a time, I didn't have that issue. So that's an option. You can do that as well if you just want to do the one arm. You can also just do it with bands. A lot of people do them with the, not with the bands, but I can with the rope and pulley extensions and stuff at the gym. I've done those as well. They're great. So there are a couple of modifications. You can do them sitting down if you want. I prefer to do them standing up. But yeah, I just have one more movement now. And onto our last movement of the day. We're going to be doing an overhead dumbbell extension, tricep extension, I should say. So like I said at the beginning, this is our one movement that we're doing where we're going to be focusing on the triceps. You can do these seated. I'm seated. I prefer them seated a little bit more. You can do them standing, you can do them with a dumbbell, or you can easily do them with a resistance band as well. Sorry. For the resistance band, it's probably easier if you stay, depending on your height, I guess. It's probably easier if you stay seated. You can anchor it onto the seat that you're sitting on, or your bench, or for me, like my dresser's right here, I can easily just anchor it onto the bottom of my dresser because my dresser's not going to move. But make sure if you do anchor it onto something, it's something secure, that you have no risk of pulling over or anything like that. So, I'm sitting down, I'm a little far away from the camera, but I have it set up this way so that you guys can see me do this from the front and from the side. I'm going to start with doing it from the side, and then I'll turn halfway through, I'll do 5 and 5, or I guess 6 and 6, so you can see both. So basically, without the weight, I'm just going to show you. Your rested position is going to be holding the weight like this, and you're just going to pull it up like that, using both hands, not one hand. I mean, you can do one hand if you want, but this movement that we're doing is going to be one-handed. So let's get started here. Like I said, 12 to 15 for this one. Keep your posture good. Shoulders back, back arched. Sitting up straight with the weight above you. I don't know if you can see that all the way up. We're going to be lowering it down. Just past parallel with our arms. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to turn towards you guys so you can see this a little bit. You don't want your elbows to be flared out like this. That's incorrect. Try to keep them as forward facing as possible. And don't let them flare out when you're doing the sets. That's why I wanted to turn sideways so I could show you guys that a little bit better. Because that is something that people do a lot. Keep them forward, especially when you start to get into your higher reps, it's harder to keep them there because naturally, I'll show you, your body's going to want to pull it down like that. But that's not what we're doing. Bring it forward, and that's it. So that's everything for the push workout. We are going to do, these are optional. I like to do them every day. We're going to do some calf raises after this. Calves are interesting. As a heavy guy, my calves are pretty strong and pretty developed, just because my body's used to carrying around my large frame all the time, so it gets quite a workout. Your calves can take quite a lot of punishment, so typically you're going to want to do higher rep ranges for this, so we're going to actually do 15 to 20 reps. I'll do 15 just to show it off for you guys. There's lots of variations of things you can do with your calves. We're just going to keep it simple. You can use bands if you want to, just hook the bands onto your feet, which is difficult because you're going to be going up in your tiptoes. Anchor them to something just in front of you, or if you have dumbbells, just hold the dumbbells, let them hang at your side. You won't be able to see my face and stuff on the next video. I'm going to have the camera down pretty low so you can just see the movement that I'm doing. But yeah, let's get to that. Let's get that started. All right, so these are nice and simple. I'm using my weight plates here just to elevate my toes. All we're going to be doing, I'm holding the weights in my hands. You guys can't see that, obviously. You're just going to raise yourself slowly up, slowly back down. Squeeze at the top, going as far up as you can push, and staying in control. Nice and slow. 15 to 20 of these. Just readjust your feet. Feet slide off of these weights, so they're not ideal. A lot of people will bounce, do stuff like this. It's not what we want. Slow, in control, full stretch at the top. And that's it. Just gonna be picking up my camera here for a sec, using my little video vlogger tripod that I bought that I haven't really used. Nice and sweaty. Workout is all done. Haven't done any footage like this, so this is kind of interesting. But just one little thing I wanted to show you guys just at the end of the video. This is my bench. Just so you can have an idea of what I have. Nothing fancy. I bought it on Amazon. It was very cheap. I think like 120 bucks or something like that. But yeah, that's that. Just wanted to let you guys see that since I didn't show it off in any of the other videos. But yeah, that's it. We're going to finish up, do a little cool down. It's a good time to go do some cardio if that's something that you want to do some more stretches. And then, yeah, have something to eat. Make sure you're getting your protein. And then we'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the pull workout. So we're going to do that, back and biceps, a little bit of the back of the shoulders as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this. All the information's down below, spreadsheet, all that good stuff if you want to track. The mobility workouts are in the bottom as well. Instagram, Twitter. If you have any questions, just send me a message and I'll be happy to answer them. Have a great day. Take care.